go live in 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to the studio with Angelo Live. I am Matt Catrier, and today we have a very special guest. Today we have Sydney Timmer, and she is from the Concho Valley Community Action Agency.
Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
And also, she works with the Concho Valley Homeless Planning Coalition. So this is a really big deal for us. We've been doing a series on homelessness in San Angelo, which they've been following, which is really cool. And so we have a lot of good questions for you. So thank you, first of all, for being on
Oh,
today.
absolutely. I'm excited. This is a really big issue, and I'm glad that it's getting highlighted.
Absolutely cool. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about your background. And we talked a little bit about this, but what I want to know too is what got you interested in that issue in particular, and why are you passionate about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. I've been with Concho Valley Community Action Agency for almost 3 years now. And going into it, I was really just looking for a job. And I was one of the puppies and babies charities persons, like...
What's that?
Oh, you always want to give money to the organizations that help puppies and babies and stuff. And homeless neighbors, that was never something that was really a passion. But when I first started at CVCAA, we just began a housing program. Okay. And so we were able to, after all that CARES and COVID money, we were able to house 65 homeless neighbors and help close to 300 neighbors avoid eviction. So
that's cool.
It was
in San
amazing.
Angelo?
Yes, and this was all around COVID.
That's really
cool.
So
now that COVID money's gone, we are left with a very long wait list. And so that was kind of my first introduction to what it means to be homeless. And so back in 2022, there was a campfire, and so a group of us got together and started doing outreach, trying to get them connected with things, because just putting someone in a house is not going to solve the issue. They need IDs and documents to get a job, to get food stamps. There's a lot of trauma that comes along with it, so it's not just pulling yourself up by your bootstraps when you don't have bootstraps.
That's right. Yeah.
And so a group of us got together, and we were going out every Tuesday. We were feeding them, really getting to know them and what they're needing and what they want. And we found after a few months, we were just kind of spinning our wheels. There's only so much you can do, an hour a week in the sun with no tables, chairs, Wi-Fi. And so we got together, the group of us, we were like, it would be really nice if all of this was happening in one spot. We could just make sure it happens. And so June 2022, we had our first navigation day. We only had 25 neighbors come through, and 6 agencies, and we've since then outgrown 3 different locations.
Yes.
So, and we just had our record in
This
January.
is exciting, because I'll tell you why this is exciting. So this is so cool that y'all came up with this. So Navigation Day is a really big deal. Like, this is a really cool thing, and it kind of goes with the philosophy that I'm going to talk about in a minute. The reason I think it works well and it's an effective program. But the thing about it is, this is not, I thought, Navigation Day, I did a little write-up on it, and like I was telling you, I thought it was like a nationwide thing, but turns out somebody on the coalition, Sharon, she said, no, this is a San Angelo thing. And y'all came up with, this is really cool. And so what I like about this, so when you talk about homelessness, you mention that to most people. If they're not involved in or even if they are involved in some way or another, a lot of people are jaded by the fact that, they'll say, they're choosing their situation and they want to be there and there's nothing, it's unsolvable. And the thing is, like, and you've been doing this quite a long time, and people on the board of the coalition, everything, probably know more about this, but just from our personal experience going into the 14th Street homeless camp and being around people who are homeless throughout San Angelo and talking with them and hearing their stories, and it's really complex, and there are different reasons people don't have homes, and that can range from mental illness, which, drug addiction, PTSD. It can be economic hardship, from COVID or whatever, in between jobs, lost their job. It can be drug addiction, which falls under, of course, mental illness. It can be what I like to call a go-between, like the 14th Street homeless camp. A lot of people are there not permanently or semi-permanently, but they use it sort of as a transition or go-between. So they'll stay there when they lose their apartment, or let's say they get kicked out of their house or something, and they temporarily might stay there for a little while. And so it's our thinking, or mine at least, that with homelessness, if we could figure out, and I'm sure there are studies and ways to do this, but within San Angelo in particular, how many of those people are affected by, let's say economic hardship, and how many, like what percentage could we put a number on a percentage of those people that would be receptive to programs like this and have a high probability of being reintegrated back into society?
Absolutely.
And so in a minute, I want to get a little more into that. But first, I want you to tell us why or what y'all do at Navigation Day. And right before you do, I just want to say, so what's cool about Navigation Day is that my thinking is that, if at first when I thought, oh yeah, the homeless camp is like a go-between, then I thought, okay, well, how could I help? And I was like, well, what if I had somebody donate, and we had people fund a go-between that's nice, like that is built for them, and this and that, and I had conversations about it, and what it came down to ultimately was, whenever you give something to someone, that's not really helping them all the time, and not to say it's enabling them, because some people need that. But if you're able to, for some people, help them to learn to take responsibility again and do little small things like this that help them to build self-worth and self-confidence and get that ball rolling, I think that's one of the most effective things that we could do. And so tell us about Navigation Day a little bit. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I've seen countless neighbors, once they're out there and things are moving slowly, it can take all day for them to do one thing. And maybe that one thing is just walking across town to go get a free meal at Neighbor's Cafe. But it's a very slow process to get the ball rolling on the things you need. And so it's very easy for our neighbors to start to lose hope and just accept the situation they're in. Yes. And so Navigation Day is a really fantastic way that we can really expedite getting what they need. So this is not a resource fair. This is right now, I mentioned the first time we had 6 agencies. We now have over 20 agencies that are coming together and providing direct services. So we're not handing them pamphlets and sending them on their way. There is a doctor on site to provide medical attention. We are helping them apply for and pay for their IDs, their birth certificates, their social security cards, checking their housing status. Have you applied for housing? What can we do to get you on that ball? And then, we have haircuts happening. It's a great way of having a number of things get done in one day. And it's fantastic to see the payoff that these neighbors are seeing from their work. And it makes them want to come back and do better. A lot of times, when they're homeless and everything is survival mode.
Yes. I want to get into go ahead. This is so exciting to me.
Everything's survival mode. It's where's your next meal? Where are you going to lay down at night? Are you safe? And so we've been talking with a number of different cities, Lubbock and Austin in particular. There's it's called Esperanza Community, and it's a bunch of tiny homes that's a transitional housing. And so it's fantastic to see how providing that safe place that is theirs, where they can lock their belongings and feel secure, that survival instinct lessens, and they're able to go, I can do this. I'm contributing. They have it's really community led, and so they have little neighborhoods that are able to decide the rules and how to handle conflict, and they also provide employment opportunities. So that's a fantastic model that we've been looking at for quite a while, and we would love to figure out a way to bring it here, because we know that our neighbors could definitely benefit from that.
Very cool. Yeah. So that's cool. That's pretty amazing. I hope we can get that here.
Yeah.
So what was interesting, is, and why I love this so much is, so it seems like, if when you talk to people who are experiencing homelessness, they all share a sort of a mentality, and it's this defeated hopelessness. You said hopelessness. And I feel like it's this vicious cycle, sort of. It's almost like these negative thought patterns create this cycle, and they become stuck in it, and they're clouded by it, and they can't really break out of it. But I feel like if there was a way to replace some of those with positive thought patterns, you could create over time, I think, a psychological shift. Absolutely. But I also think they need someone very close, or at least a really strong interpersonal relationship with someone who understands what they're going through, to help guide them through it, just like a sponsor is to a drug addict or an alcoholic. And so what was interesting is going to the camp and talking to different people there, residents there, is that one thing that they all had in common, they said they had this really strong core belief almost, and it was, we're a family here. We take care of each other. We might bicker, but we always make sure everybody's fed or they're warm. This really strong sense of community, everyone there. Yeah. And it's so fascinating because our society, you know, it's like the further we progress, we want less of that. It's like we start to separate ourselves. We put emphasis on independence and privacy and socioeconomic status and all these things. And it's interesting to have two different societies in juxtaposition, like that are, have you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy?
I have,
just essentially
exactly.
What humans need, and as a society progresses, they need different things, but they always have to get their basic needs met first. Which the juxtaposition is, you have these people living, let's say, at the 14th Street homeless camp who are living at the base level, which is just food, shelter, protection. Yeah. And then you have us right next to them who are at like the third level, which is, you know, social engagement and this and affiliation with this and, you know, whatever. And it's so interesting because like that sense of community is so important to them. I feel like there's a way to utilize that, and I don't know exactly how, but like our thinking is one of the ideas that we had, and I'd love to talk more with other people about this, is somehow doing a mentorship program or coaching program, like a reintegration mentorship, essentially.
Yes. No, absolutely. Jumping off of what you said, that sense of community is extremely important to them. And so when we had our program, you know, helping them find a rental unit and getting them into that place, there were a lot of them that truly struggled with it because they were cut off from everyone they knew. And so that is why a place like Esperanza Community, where it's a tiny home, it's transitional is very much the key word because, you know, they're learning, you know, these people aren't gone. You still have your family and you still have your community, but now you're able to start looking for like, what do you want in life? What is it? And so it's not such an abrupt shift that they are cut off from their community. And so that is one of the really important pieces that unfortunately San Angelo's missed.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, wow. I like that. That is good, seriously. Transitional living. So these they're tiny homes in the sense that, like you've seen on TV or something, where it's like you have like a 500 square foot facility.
Smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's probably, you know, a fourth of the size of the room that we're in now. It's really just a bed, you know, air conditioner, maybe a table. And so really it is just safety. Because theft is a really big issue. And so a lot of times, you know, we might help someone get their birth certificate, ID, or this or that, and it gets stolen pretty quickly. And so it really also helps us not continue to just throw resources at an issue and really solve the problem. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. That's really neat. Yeah. So, man, there's so much to talk about with this, but so Navigation Day, the next one's coming up on when? Tell us when.
February 27th. It's usually the last Tuesday of the month. The only time that gets a little crazy is around the holidays, or in January we just had our point in time count, which is when we go out and take our census. And that was actually our record-setting Navigation Day. Yes, we saw 104 homeless households and 130 individuals. So some of those, of course, were families. So,
the point in time count. So the results of what I understand is they don't come out for a little while, right?
So we're still waiting. There's a data quality check that the state goes through. So we do have 2023 numbers. And the thing about that, you know, we counted 109, like just under 200 homeless individuals in San Angelo. Lubbock is 3 times our size, only had 40 more than we did. And so they...
Oh my gosh, that's interesting.
And it's really, we got to take kind of a field trip up there to talk to their homeless outreach team with their police department, and some of the, like Open Door is a nonprofit up there that's done fantastic with transitional housing. And so talking to them, the key change was that, oh gosh, between 5 and 10 years ago, their city said, we're going to take care of this issue. It is getting out of hand. Their mayor put an emphasis on it, their city council, everyone came together and we were like, we need to address this problem. And within that time, they've cut their homeless population in half.
Oh my goodness.
And so I think that's something that's really exciting that we're able to talk about this, because we do need the entire city on board if we're going to make a difference.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Oh man, I was just having that conversation with somebody. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
No, but it's gonna take the whole, like, people need to do their part, and that is so true. Because you can gripe and complain about it all you want, but if you're not doing something, like it's just going to take everyone. Like you said, like they just were like, we're going to do something about it. Like we're coming together. Like that's just what we have to do. Man, that's cool. Like programs like these, like I was saying, like that, you know, getting them out of that negative space, that headspace, and that everything is just hopeless. I'm a failure. I'm defeated, you know, and they've lost, you know, family and friends and jobs, and there's just not much left. They feel like, you know, and I can put myself there. You know, I've been in a situation, not experiencing homelessness, but just where you feel hopeless, sort of, you know.
Yeah.
And having help out of that was a very big deal to me, and so it's just so powerful when you can do that for someone else.
Absolutely.
And so I think we need to focus on more programs like this, you know, that's pushing people in the right direction, but helping them to take responsibility, because ultimately when you do that, you have control over what's happening, you know, and so I think that is really cool that you guys came up. I did not know that. I'm really kind of blown away by that. So are you going to be at the navigation?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
at
be
almost
there too.
all of them. Good.
Yeah?
All right.
Cool.
Well, we absolutely, so I think with Navigation Day, as we've grown over the, year and a half now that we've been doing it, it's been fantastic. But the need for volunteers has grown so much as well, because we need people to help us, you know, when they come in, get that information and let them know how it works. You know, we also need volunteers that we call them floaters that just kind of go around, and a lot of our neighbors will come in and kind of have a notion of, I just need this. And it's like, well, you are here. They're here to help you with this. You can get this done. You can get this done. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess I could. And so it really helps kind of open it up. And also, like you mentioned, that camaraderie and coming alongside them and trying to help walk along the path with them is great. The other thing about Navigation Day is we do feed everybody breakfast and lunch. Not only our neighbors, but any volunteers or agencies that come through, just to make sure that it's all happening in one spot. And there's also something, I went to camp when we were doing outreach every Tuesday, and standing there while they're eating, they're like, aren't you going to eat with us? And just something about sharing a meal with them, and it kind of bridges that gap. It's not like I am here for this purpose, but you know, getting to know them and have that camaraderie, and know that we're not just handing them out things. We're here to help them out.
Yeah. Super cool. I can't wait to be a part of that. I'm just excited to go. Wow. So if people want to volunteer, how do they do that?
Yes. So actually the sign up is on the CVCAA website. So it's our initials, cvcaa.org. And at the top menu, there's a homeless services tab. And on there, it talks about the history of Navigation Day and a sign up for anyone that wants to volunteer their time, or if there's a business or an agency or someone that wants to help us provide that meal. Yeah. Like I've said, it's grown and grown and grown. So we could definitely use the help for that.
Cool. Yeah. Guys, go out there and volunteer for this. We'd love to see you at this event. It's a really cool way to get involved and to kind of experience what's going on firsthand in your city, and a chance for you to take some accountability and do something, do your part. Because like we were talking about, if everybody can just do a part, like contribute towards what's happening, then we'll make progress, right?
Absolutely.
Let me ask you just a couple things before we get out of here. And one of them is people who say that homelessness is unsolvable, or that you can't help people who are experiencing homelessness. What do you say to that usually?
Whew, I think no, you're good. That is a big question. You know, it's being in it and working with these neighbors every day. I get it. It looks so insurmountable sometimes of all the steps that needs to happen, but we're already making progress, and that's just a very small group of us that are working on that. You know, we've got the nonprofit community, which collaborates so fantastically, but like we said, it's going to take those other parts. We've been advocating with the city council and the mayor for about a year now, and we're already starting to see that progress. So it is solvable. It's just, it depends on how long we want it to take. You know, if we're kind of going on the same route where it's just the nonprofits that are really trying to pick this up, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a long time. But, you know, the volunteers, the donations, all of that is a fantastic help. And I think in a city like San Angelo, where we do care about our neighbors, I mean, gosh, you look at San Angelo Gives, and we outrank Abilene and Lubbock and
Wow.
everybody for giving. So I
Wow.
know that San
Yeah.
Angelo can do it.
Uh-huh.
We're already looking at what it's going to take. We
Mm-hmm.
have those ideas, transitional, the emergency shelters, this and that.
Yep.
We know what pieces we need to do. We just need to work together and make it happen.
That is really big to hear, especially coming from you who's involved with this and the position you hold, that the problem is solvable was literally what she just said. So, I mean,
I'll say it again.
yeah, I mean, that's really cool to hear. So it's just a matter of what we do next, honestly. And lastly, just really quick, the city of Abilene actually just created a city ordinance that they're outlawing or prohibiting public camping. And so a lot of people who are experiencing homelessness are having to find another option.
Absolutely.
Is that something? What do you think of that? Is that something San Angelo would ever do, and would that be productive or not productive?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. Actually, I believe it was in 2022 or 2023. That became a statewide ordinance.
Okay.
Greg Abbott passed it. I can get you the information, but that is actually a statewide ordinance now that you cannot publicly camp anywhere. So much as a blanket can get you stopped.
Okay.
And so that's actually kind of one of the catalysts for creating Esperanza Community was that people were getting cleared out, and it's like, well, where do you want them to go?
Yeah.
That's kind of an issue that, we're even running into San Angelo. There might be complaints about our homeless neighbors, but right now there is not anywhere for them to go. We're so happy that Salvation Army just opened, but that is only for inclement weather nights. And so if we don't want them in our parks, if we don't want them in the river, if we don't want them in a certain spot, you still have to figure out where this neighbor's going to go, because they are a person.
Yes.
They are a citizen of San Angelo. I know we hear a lot of people say, oh, they just came here from somewhere. No, most of the neighbors that we've talked to, born and raised here.
That is exactly right. That is exactly what we found too. Yeah.
Yes.
You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I love how passionate you are about this and how much you know about this. And I love that you're just in the trenches doing it. I think it's really cool.
You.
Seriously.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. This was awesome. Sydney Timmer, thank you again. Anything else you want to say to the audience?
No. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And really, I really hope to see that we can make this stuff happen, because I know that we have the tools for it, and we just need the support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us today. Back to the studio.